Former Kentucky lottery pick, youngest player ever to score 70 points in a single game, mentored by the late Kobe Bryant. He's a two-time All-Star and one of the bright young players in the league. Yet despite all of the accolades he's earned up to this point in his career, Devin Booker still seems underappreciated. Why? Well, there's no single answer, but one theme has certainly stood out in Booker's young career thus far: a lack of team success. With the exception of Booker's freshman season at Kentucky, his bright career has often been overshadowed by a lack of team success. During Booker's first 4 years in the league, the Suns were consistently finishing in the lottery, and each offseason was spent preparing for new coaches and teammates. However, all of that has changed with the arrival of Monty Williams and the point guard himself, Chris Paul. The Suns have now reached the finals in over 20 years and have one of the brightest young rosters in the league. All the while, Devin is leading the charge alongside Chris Paul, with each player enjoying more success than they ever have in their careers. With his recent playoff performances, it's clear that D-Book has arrived and is here to stay. The question is, who is Devin Booker, and how did he get here? To answer these questions, we need to rewind and take a look at Booker's life. This is the story of Devin Booker, the rising sun. Devin was born to Veronica Gutierrez and Melvin Booker on October 30th, 1996 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He spent most of his childhood raised by his mom, Veronica, as his dad played professionally overseas for 11 years before retiring in 2008. Devin is one of 3 children, as he has 2 half-siblings named Maya and Devon. From a young age, Book always had a knack for basketball. Despite playing overseas, Devin's father was still a large presence in his life, as he would always return during breaks in his schedule to coach and mentor Devin. One of Melvin's biggest points of emphasis was that having a high IQ was equally as important as having skills on the court. He believed that possessing both skills is what separates the good players from the great ones, something which Devin is praised for today. D-Book began his high school career in Grand Rapids at Granville High School, splitting time between the freshman, JV, and varsity teams during his first season. During this time, Booker's father, Melvin, had been periodically flying up to his games from Mississippi, where he had resided following the conclusion of his professional career. Melvin wanted Devin to move to Mississippi with him once he entered high school, so after a year of trying to convince Devin to move in with him, Devin did exactly that and transferred to Moss Point High School for his sophomore season. Melvin's goal was not only to coach and help train Devin, but also to challenge him with a different environment. He would frequently take Devin to play pickup basketball at local gyms and outdoor parks, where he would be challenged and pushed around on the court more than he had experienced before. Devin admitted that it was tough to adjust to this new culture in the South, as he had spent his entire life in the Midwest and was more familiar. However, this change forced Devin to level up, as he was often targeted on and off the court as someone who didn't fit in yet. With this, he grew thicker skin and rose up to the challenge of earning respect from those around him. As Devin entered his sophomore year, he began to blossom into the 3-level scorer he is today, averaging 22.8 points per game while winning the South Mississippi Player of the Year. In his junior year, he continued to improve, switching to point guard and averaging 29.7 points per game, while picking up scholarship offers from major schools including Duke, Michigan, Michigan State, and North Carolina. After participating in multiple skill academies and camps over the summer, Booker was set to make his collegiate decision prior to the start of his senior season. On October 31st, 2003, Devin committed to the University of Kentucky, citing Coach Capillari and the school's strong tradition as the main reasons for choosing the school. Booker continued to torch opponents in his senior season, going for over 30 a game, becoming the school's all-time leading scorer midway through his senior year, despite only having played 2.5 seasons there. However, much like most of his professional career, Devin's high school squads lacked a winning chemistry. In fact, despite his absurd numbers on the court, Moss Point went on a combined 46 and 45 over his 3 seasons with the team. While Devin earned a lot of personal accolades in high school, he couldn't seem to garner the same level of team success on the court, something which he hoped would come by joining the University of Kentucky. As the 2014-2015 season rolled around, Devin had joined a loaded recruiting class headlined by 3 other 5-star recruits: Karl Anthony Towns, Trey Lyles, and Tyler Ulis. With all the talent surrounding him in Lexington, he was certain to experience a true taste of success. While Book came off the bench for a majority of the season, he did show flashes of his smooth stroke on several different occasions, leading the team in scoring multiple times during his freshman season. This, compiled with his efficient shooting numbers, elevated his draft stock and gave him the opportunity to leave the school after just 1 year. Arguably, more importantly though, Book experienced a high level of team success for the first time in his basketball career. Kentucky cruised through the season, piling up 38 straight wins before being upset by Wisconsin in the Final Four. Despite falling short of their goal, Devin felt ready to take the next step, opting to leave school after just 1 season and enter the NBA draft. As the draft rolled around, teams were high on Booker's IQ and three-point shooting ability. While he had performed on a limited sample size while at Kentucky, teams were lining up for his services in the mid-lottery. The Phoenix Suns chose him with the 13th overall selection, hoping to pair him with guard Eric Bledsoe and Brandon Knight in the backcourt. While the Suns had high hopes for Book, it's hard to imagine that they had this high of hopes for him early in his career. After injuries forced Devin into the starting lineup midway through his rookie season, he took off, averaging an impressive 13.8 points per game while finishing 4th in Rookie of the Year voting. He was also named to the All-Rookie First Team and was selected as a rising star. However, Phoenix was yet again a lottery team, posting a 23-59 record. While Book would eventually take the reins of the backcourt in the ensuing seasons, frustrations began to amount as failed player and coaching experiments bogged the Suns down year after year. As he continued to get better, the Suns seemed to get worse, bottoming out at 19-63 in the 2018-2019 season. As the years wore on, Devin got tired of losing, and many around the league began to speculate when the Suns would trade him. I remember the rumors of him being traded to the Wolves to form a big three with former college teammate Karl Anthony Towns and friend D'Angelo Russell. Maybe ship him to LA? Anything would be a better situation than Phoenix. People were calling out the Suns management for wasting the young star's career, which eventually led to major changes on the sidelines and in the front office. Enter James Jones, who was brought in to undo all of the mistakes made by former GM Ryan McDonough. Almost immediately, he began to put the pieces in place for the Suns' young star. While Phoenix had signed Booker to a 5-year max extension the season prior to Jones' arrival as full-time GM, they began by surrounding Devin with a true pass-first backcourt mate, Ricky Rubio. Not surprisingly, Devin flourished and earned his first All-Star berth, while the Suns showed significant signs of improvement. Then came the NBA pause and the bubble, where everything started to fall into place for the Suns. D-Book had a coming-out party in the bubble, hitting an iconic game winner over Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and leading the Suns to a shocking 8-0 record. What was shocking wasn't that Phoenix was winning games, it was who they were beating. From Dallas to LA and Denver to Portland, Phoenix was having their way. All of a sudden, Phoenix looked like a team that was one piece away from being a dangerous playoff contender. That piece came in the form of Chris Paul, who was dealt to the Suns from Oklahoma City in a win-now move. While Phoenix would acquire a future Hall of Fame point guard, they would be on the hook for the remaining $85 million on Paul's contract, which had made him nearly untradeable just 1 season prior. However, it was going to define Phoenix's immediate future. Fast forward to present day, and many can see that Chris Paul is easily the best thing to ever happen to Devin Booker. The two compete, challenge one another, and pick each other up both on and off the court. Both made the All-Star game this season, and Booker has blossomed into a leader alongside Paul. While leading the Suns to a top 2 seed in a loaded Western Conference throughout the 2021 playoffs, D-Book has only gotten better, putting up multiple 40-point signature performances en route to leading the Suns to the NBA Finals. Whether or not Phoenix can climb to the mountaintop and capture the elusive title remains to be seen. However, one thing is for sure, D-Book is living in the moment. The losing is in the past and the future remains a mystery. However, What is in front of him is the opportunity to rewrite decades of starved success for a franchise that has so desperately craved its first title. Shout out to Monty Williams too, who is an amazing leader and has done a heck of a job bringing the team together despite the obstacles that have surrounded the season. D-Book understands that winning is a key ingredient to greatness. All of the greats have sustained a high level of team success throughout their careers, while the ones who didn't have been cast away in the shadows. The fear of being cast away can either drive you away or push you to work harder. For Book, he's chosen the latter, despite being continually underrated and underappreciated for most of his basketball career. Now the opportunity has arrived and the spotlight is on him. How he responds will ultimately define both his career and his legacy, but as they say, when the spotlight shines brightest, the greats perform at their highest. Speaking of greats though, have you ever wondered why Steph Curry is so good and so unstoppable at the same time? It's really insane. But if you have ever pondered that question, then click this video here, where I go over just why the chef can cook on any NBA court he desires. It's a big video, guys. Click it, watch it, enjoy it, and I'll see you on the other side.